$90 million worth of monstrosity over here. You know, so I mean, I don't think that
Well,
we should be scared
Bill
off.
will
by
point out that that's
saying
all
that
a
we're
red
gonna-
herring anyway about the
It's
debt.
a red herring,
Yeah.
and Ed DeWitt said it's solely a red herring. He's an old member of the.
Okay, but we've got to sell that to the town, you know.
We do, but
And Barnstable and New Bedford, that, you
But
know,
I-
we want it to be equal.
But the reason that correct. But I think, but in my imagination, this debt should not be picked up by any of the port towns. I think it's a Commonwealth of Massachusetts issue. And I think this debt business, which has never happened, is used as a club. On the vineyard, anyway, all the various people I've talked to all defend their constituency. I have to protect the people I represent.
But they're not protecting them.
They say,
I know, Bill.
Their
we know
perception
that
is-
that
no, but
it's
I-
false. How can
correct,
they,
but I don't think anything's gonna happen till you do away with the whole debt business.
We could say,
And
well,
Okay.
we'll help you protect it. We'll
Let's
take
get, what else is on your list?
all
Ian?
of the risks.
Yeah, I mean, the debt and the voting is certainly fair game for, I
Or
mean, that's
why doesn't
exactly
one do
what they
away
rehashed
with
last
that
time.
and have the Commonwealth? This is a state organization.
Bill's model is
This
Maine's Ferry and Washington State's Ferry.
Whatever,
And-
and
and-
why shouldn't the Commonwealth just, the money
Yeah.
goes to the Commonwealth anyway.
Yeah.
It gets this, they explain.
I would say we need to ask
complicated-
Eric Turkington. Actually, it turns out Eric Turkington was really centrally
I-
involved 15 years
He
ago.
was in the middle of it.
We
But
need to get him out here.
I think the issue of financial liability being assigned to port towns ought to be eliminated. Period. If there is ever a debt, I think the Commonwealth of Massachusetts ought to pick it up. I don't think it's the responsibility of any of these port towns that are really serving as
It is odd why Falmouth is
This
on the
is
hook for
part of
anything.
a transportation
And
system.
New Bedford's on the hook
Yeah,
for it. They're not even,
exactly right, yeah.
I mean, they've got a
It's almost
little
like
tiny
the
stream
price-
of passengers out of
Almost
there.
like somehow the islands wanted this system, and the state said, well, no, but, okay, maybe, but you'll have to pay for the whole damn thing yourself, I don't know why it's
it used to be New
put up
Bedford
that way.
picked up.
It's
But
a part of the state, it's like,
Yeah.
why isn't Puerto Rico getting all this aid?
And the
Why
only,
isn't the
only
vineyard getting
logic is
bailed
that
out
if we
for
wanted
any
part of the
sorts
vote, I guess we needed to
debts
take
in the
on
transportation
potential
system?
debt. Although there is no
Unless
debt.
they
These people, they're making money hand over fist. Huh?
fuck
Right, that's the
themselves,
po- yeah,
we'd
that's the
rather
point.
do this
Why be worried-
ourselves, and
Why be
therefore
worried about?
And there will never be any
have-
debt. They'll just raise the
have
prices.
control over this baby.
I think there's a lot of that culture.
Yeah.
But I think the assessment threat now throws sand in the gear. I think
Mhm.
it stops the show.
Yeah, they'd love to
It's-
hang it.
it's
I
the
mean, we
first
always
thing
hear this in the
anyone-
meetings.
And so I would
Well, we
do
want
away with
to
it.
fall into line because otherwise we'll go into debt, and then our towns won't be happy with us.
Why isn't it not a Commonwealth?
And what else? What
Liability.
else is on your list?
Oh, there's no reason at all. I agree with you completely, yeah. And it's just
Oh,
a,
So I would just
Or
take
do
it
you
out
wanna
of
keep
there.
going?
Section 6.
Okay, let's see.
Which is,
okay.
Public good and no taxes, that drives me nuts.
Oh yeah.
But I
and-
suppose, you said that
Yeah.
that's something we can't attack.
Well, this is like the one. Actually, this section seems reasonable. You must like section 6, Bill. This is where it says, this is for all the people in the Commonwealth.
It's for all the people of the Commonwealth.
I mean, this is actually is good, but then they ignore that. Then they
guess-
don't apply this because we tried this with the early morning traffic.
And so another
And they
comment
rejected
that I
it.
would have about the whole document is that
Mhm.
it is internally inconsistent.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It talks about
Yeah.
all the people in the Commonwealth, but then assigns debt, threat, quite specifically and unfairly to a couple of port towns.
Why did they do that?
And so
You
it's
know?
internally inconsistent. What, the politics, who knows?
I think if you
This is
wanted
like-
if you
this
wanted
is
part of
like
the vote, you
reading
needed
the
to take on some
diary
of
of
the
a
debt. would be
sick
the only-
family.
Well,
You know,
it
and-
has been amended
the
too,
hard
which
thing
might explain
is
the
that
unevenness of it.
Our district rep has just 4 precincts here, and then he has the vineyard and then Tophet. So they, at a certain point, constructed this district to be the port district, the steamship district. And so it's like, we really haven't gotten a lot of good support from our representative. I mean, Falmouth hasn't. You know, and I think that has something to do with it too. It's like you go along because the majority of the voters are on the island.
Well, I bet a lot of the campaign contributions
I
are too.
think,
Yeah. Is Dylan's position, is that Eric Turkington's position?
Yes.
It is, okay.
yes, yes, Eric's
Yeah.
old.
Yeah,
Eric
And
for a
what-
while had a really weird district because he had a piece of hyenas,
Piece of,
Hmm.
yes, it was very strange.
you know.
But anyway,
yeah.
Anyway, so that's-
Well,
that's
I think
my
we need to
thought
meet
on
with
these-
with Eric
the
at some point.
assessment, I think the
I mean, I felt,
assessment's in
as I went
play.
through what happened, I thought, oh, Eric kind of let us down, or how come Eric, he was on the
Yeah.
transportation committee,
Yeah.
but it didn't seem to really play out in our favor, I don't know.
Well, I think
I-
that's because he was beholden to his
Yeah.
other constituents.
And-
Uh,
That's why we have gasoline trucks coming down the road too.
Correct.
That's right, he objected to that, yeah.
This was a town road and it got it changed over to a state highway.
Yep,
Because our fire chief didn't want the gasoline trucks coming down the road.
yep,
And then, so they took it out of from underneath his authority and made it a state highway so that they could
they
access
just
it
pulled
with-
the string
Yeah,
of being a state
yeah.
instrumentality or
gas
whatever.
trucks.
Yeah. So 6 actually, is that why you brought up 6? Or was there something you didn't like about 6? 'Cause to me, that's the one vision, that's the one like positive, I mean, this is what they should be doing
Right.
for the benefit of the people of the Commonwealth.
Well, there's some
Or-
mealy mouth thing where, sort of the very end where it says something like, the operation of this thing shall be assumed to be in the best interest of the Commonwealth.
Yeah,
You know?
maybe it's so
What is that?
generally.
Yeah, that's like in number 19
Yeah.
or
But doesn't it seem
Section 16.
for an entity that's as large as the Steamship Authority and has such a big a presence in our town, there should be some quid pro quo for no taxes? You know, like,
I know what you're
There
asking,
should
I
be.
don't know
Yeah,
the answer.
some-
like we should have a
There
weighted
should be.
vote. Do you know, there should be
Some
something that we get for all the things that they're.
They would say we get
getting
an
pres-
embarkation fee.
Yeah, we got a third of
Which
$1
is
million,
why I would do
which
away with
is
the embarkation fee
nuts,
also,
Drop in the bucket, yeah.
because I don't think.
By the way, I
it's-
always like to think, I've mentioned this to Bill, the steamship runs a $100 million a year operation. The town of Falmouth is about 120 million. So they're almost comparable, the town's a little bigger.
Wow, that's
Um,
interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting.
I mean, the town doesn't pay
And a
taxes
third of
for
a
its
million,
operations either. and
a
stuff.
third of a million is the kickback, is that right?
Yeah, so it's kind of a drop in the
So-
bucket. Yeah, it's,
so-
it's the hush money. Yeah, the kickback, I like that, yeah.
1% is the kickback. I
Yeah.
think that we're worth, I would say we're worth a lot more than that.
Well, I've
If
always
there's
thought
gonna
that
be a kickback, there ought to be
the
a lot more than that.
property value depreciation of Woods Hole Road is probably the equivalent in lost tax revenue to the third of a million, that little drop in the bucket.
There should be an
Yeah.
So I,
impact fee.
yeah, so we, yeah, I think your question is correct, I don't know where to go, what to do about it.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
I
how-
don't know.
How are we gonna,
That
Identify-
requires.
All right, well, let's keep
Well,
going.
that's
So you
what-
thought this was a little too generic, a little too,
I just think no,
yeah.
I agree, I think in section 6, it should say the people of the entire Commonwealth, that instead of everybody, or
Hmm.
same thing.
Yeah.
But on page, I think in section 16, there's something
Okay.
that said basically, just, if this works, it's doing the work of the Commonwealth. It's really, just thrown in there like, you can't dispute this because it's already in here, you know?
Hmm.
Unless it was put in there a long time
Right.
ago and they just didn't want to take that. Can you find that?
What was it, like
You
self,
know?
what was the issue?
And by the way, as we go
Right back
along, how are we, who and how are we recording?
Yeah,
What
so I am
was-
recording
what
this, I
was
wanted,
because-
I don't have, with
Oh,
your
you are,
permission,
okay.
although I'm not planning to put this on the web,
No,
but if
I,
someone
no, I
asks,
just tell you what,
we-
this,
we-
I think what we're hopefully doing
Mhm.
is
Here we are.
we're having a workshop in the direction of Connolly joining us,
Right,
who's an attorney who knows all about, anyway, so we're trying to do some homework before we sit down with him, sort of out of respect for him. I'm not sitting there and saying we never read it, we kind of, you know.
Section 17.
Yeah,
this act.
Being
being
oh.
necessary for the welfare of the Commonwealth.
liberally construed, yeah.
As it
Yeah, they can do
happens.
anything they want.
Yeah, shall be liberally construed.
Yeah, that was classic.
I'm
It's
sorry.
like-
Liberally construed to affect the
It's like,
purposes.
if there's ever a
thereof.
gray area, the steamship always wins, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's also words about the benefiting all members of the Commonwealth and
Yes,
or much earlier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
yes.
So
But this catch-all in the end is, yeah, they
And
kind
so,
of twist.
and that's my, you
so
know,
as an aggrieved citizen, I could sue and say you're not benefiting me.
correct. And that's my perception of the
Yeah, we tried
internal
that.
inconsistency of
Mhm.
this document.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And the reasons that, in my opinion, it ought to be, things like money should go into state coffers and, you know, maybe we're gonna do away with all this local business that's going on in terms of amortization fee and deficit liability, and it ought to be Commonwealth business. And then maybe these islands could work together if they got all these threats out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Yeah, I didn't
then
think
we
much of
can
that
work
seven-
together.
Are the
They-
threats the excuse?
I
or
thought that was
The threats
outrageous.
are the excuse.
And so does eliminating the excuse open up another excuse, or does it?
I don't know, but I think
Resolve the
that's what we have to hash out,
Yeah.
but that's the excuse that's used, and they believe it. It's a perception which is believed, it's more, it's in the spirit of the only thing that's tangible are intangibles.
So,
Right?
Not
Well, they
sure.
believe it, they believe it.
Oh, yeah.
It's the
okay.
firewall.
They believe it, they believe it, they believe it, but there's never been a deficit, but they believe it and use it, there's a firewall.
it's just a
It's
talking
the firewall
point, yeah.
against
And
what
it
you want me to do.
keeps everyone from working together.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not ever, I've talked, you know, with people on all the islands and all the ports without ever telling one or the other what another has said. They each spontaneously use this club. And I'm protecting the people I represent.
Can I ask a-
And they refer to the deficit,
You
the
and your
threat
people.
of the deficit. And so after talking with, you know, people in the system, I say, this is
Yeah.
hopeless.
Mhm.
What would it look like? What would the
This is
alternative look
hopeless.
like? What would the alternative look like? I mean,
The alternative would be no assessment. It would mean that if there were a deficit, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts would pick up
Mhm.
whatever the deficit is.
How would you change the voting rule?
How would it change the
If I
voting
make it
rule?
equal.
That, I don't know.
There's
Except I certainly would probably make it equal at that point.
five communities.
And let everybody have one
Pretty
vote.
easy.
It just,
Exactly.
and
I'm saying, yes, it's not the taxing thing, it's the voting rule that's the really important thing.
it's the voting rule.
Well,
that's
this is
important,
actually-
and
so-
I would just
In section
say they have equal votes, period.
9, there's
And-
another return to the voting. In fact, I think this is the main statement of the voting.
I mean, I think and no one is gonna let, this asymmetry or whatever you want to call this voting,
I can't see them saying, oh, you're gonna get us out of that risk
No, it's
Of
gonna
a
be a
loss?
fight. It's gonna be a fight. There's no
and we
doubt
say
about it.
yes, they
Yes.
say, okay, let's go back to one vote, one person.
right,
You're not gonna say that.
correct, but,
They don't care about the money, they want the ability to control the
Power.
game. I mean,
yes.
that's what they're feeling.
yes.
So this, Phil Richardson
And
had
then
pointed
the
us to,
Commonwealth also needs to
to page
guarantee
11.
a lifeline.
and this is
in
where
the same way.
the
We're not gonna let
percentages
you die
are laid
out
out.
there.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely, absolutely.
In fact, this also, I mean, I think a lot of these sections were amended, and so they get into some details about 2003, 2004. But this is, I mean,
But
this
you're
is,
right, they like the voting.
this is where we have the
Grossman has
10%,
been-
35, I mean, yeah, it's not even close. It's 35, 35,
It's
10, 10, 10.
70, you know.
So, again, Catherine Bumps' view is, this would be a
I-
very hard fight.
I know
Yeah.
everybody's view,
to-
but that isn't a reason not to fight.
Okay,
there we go. As the patron saint of lost causes, I second the motion to fight.
yeah. I mean, I feel
I spent
most,
my life with
you
law.
know what I feel most,
Can
I feel
ask
most
a
badly
question?
for New Bedford, who has so little time. Okay, go ahead, Ann.
I got a question. Apparently they have all these funds that are described in section 9.
Hmm.
You know, all these reserve funds
Yeah.
and sinking
Sinking
funds,
fund,
all
yeah,
this,
that
you know,
is
which
right.
means very little to me, but it seems, are
Yeah,
they
I skipped
able
right over
to put away as much money as they want, for
I
as
don't know.
long as they want.
I got your question.
They seem to
Because
have-
it seems to me
You know,
like
that's how they
these
fund
boys
these
have
big
saved,
projects, yeah,
have saved
yeah.
a whole
Yeah,
lot
that's
of
exactly what
money.
Wayne Lampson was
And
up
now
to,
they're
yeah.
gonna beat us over the head with all the money they
Where is it?
Yeah.
Is it in Switzerland? You know, where they got this money?
Well, I
And
don't care
how
about
much is
that, I
there?
wanna know, because here it seems like there's some description of a cap on it, of how much money they
75
can.
million.
Oh, I didn't get into that, huh.
75 million, but that's a cap on the bonds that they can issue.
Right,
But,
but they've
you know,
got
if
money
they pay
socked
something
away.
off, they can, you know,
Right,
their
I know
life,
where the town
their,
is, yeah.
their blood is debt,
Right,
okay? They keep going because they have to pay this stuff off,
Mhm.
okay?
Yeah, they've got all their
And
pensions.
they've gotta
and-
use it
yeah.
up, and so they are building these incredible things,
See,
okay?
that's what I-
Buying land, doing this and that. It's a sort of a perpetual
them in
motion
debt.
machine here with the
it's,
debt.
it's frightening how much money they spend on Palmer Avenue.
They're keeping
It's quite a building,
themselves
isn't
in
it?
debt.
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's tens of millions of
And it
dollars.
also maintains, right, or puts
I
a
think that's
hook in
26
the
million,
status
yeah.
quo. They have a debt,
Absolutely.
they start this sort of project, and now can say, we can't do anything else, we'd like to go to New Bedford, you know, we can't afford to do that. 'cause
Exactly, and I
We'd
think
love
that's,
to,
We'd love to do all that, but we can't, because we've got to spend so
and
much
you know,
money.
when they get
Yeah,
finished
that building,
here,
that
they're
building is
gonna say,
extravagant, yeah.
we're gonna build the Taj Mahal in New Bedford. That's what the hell they're gonna say, you know? Because they need something even better, you know?
I
Or we're
think,
gonna replace everything.
But if
they
this
have.
were a regional one of the reasons I have a problem even trying to rewrite this is, if this were a regional transportation system, this money would be helping get New Bedford up and running.
Right.
It wouldn't be a steamship authority
well,
deciding
that's
what
why
to
we've
do with
gotta
it.
we've gotta plug into something that's bigger than we are, and I don't know whether
Bingo.
this,
It's gotta
this
be
is-
bigger than this, and it has to be
Mhm.
at least
Or-
all these people.
or-
Yeah.
You know, because we've gotta get the state to
Hmm.
pay
Correct.
attention, and we've gotta stop that thing that they're starting
Yeah.
over there.
Ultimately, I think that the correct strategy is going to be something like introduce a regional transportation act,
Yes.
bill, that one of the, things is the enabling act is hereby superseded by blah, blah,
Yes.
blah, but only a small part of it, so that it's not the thing. I mean, what we're selling is
Yes.
not the demise of the steamship authority as we
No, the
know
steamship
and
authority
love
just
it.
gets
It's-
subsumed
Yeah, exactly.
by
Bingo,
a regional
yeah.
transportation authority,
Yeah.
or whatever you may
Yeah,
wanna call
yeah.
it, but the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
So who
So
do
what
we?
does
And that's why I don't know how much.
Well,
we-
these are
So-
questions we could
so that's
ask
What does that look
Michael
like? That's my
Connolly, I mean,
question.
whether or not
Well,
this,
that's
this
what
is
I-
realistic,
I think we
guess
have to
I
design that and be very clear about it.
I guess I have my doubts, but maybe try, yeah. Okay, good, I hadn't even thought about
Including
the debt issues here.
benefits that, you know, to focus strongly on the benefits thereof and not so much on the screwed up situation that exists.
Correct.
Even though we know that,
Right.
you know, we expect fully that it'll fix the
All right,
screwed up
let's
situation.
go ahead and design a regional transportation system and have it simple and workable and do enough. As Phil and I talked about the environmental impact. One of my questions is, well, I don't know how you would argue with. My question was, what would an environmental cost look like and a monetary cost? I.e., how much does it cost to get a
Mhm.
gallon of fuel from Warwick, which is where it comes from, and get it to the island via different routes? And what's the cost of that?
But
Yeah.
let's just
Anyway,
finish up with it.
So
Let's
we'll
come
get
back to that. huh?
But that's,
We're halfway in. Is there anything else about the Enabling Act? And I think we're,
the unequal voting and the assessments, those are two things.
Okay. Are there parts of this that we missed or that you wanted to, maybe several parts or?
I suggested that as one possibility is we require them, just in the small now, we're not talking about the big picture, just to adjust this thing, that we require them to form another fund, like for a second part of the reserve fund, which would be used, a certain amount of money, $600,000 if you want, which would be used to subsidize the initiation of transporting goodies from New Bedford, you know, some flexibility where they would help, and as opposed to hinder.
Yeah.
Correct. And pick up any debt.
Absolutely.
You mean more than
600,
the $20,000 study that Michael
Right.
said? I don't know what you can do with